Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be all about baby names. How many weeks am I? I'm 31 weeks, almost 32 weeks with our third baby, which is our second little boy. We have Callum, who's 5, and then we've got Linnea, who's 3, and then this baby will be born in February. People have wanted to know all about baby names and that kind of stuff and what we're thinking about. So now that we've got our baby name settled and situated, I feel like it's safe to go ahead and make a video about baby names that we love but aren't using for our son. So here we go. I have to unlock my phone because I'm not prepared at all. I didn't even make my bed. Yeah. Before we get into names, I just need to say that choosing a name for us is really difficult because names have to work on an international stage. They have to work in both English and German because our kids speak English and German. Obviously, they're here in Germany, they're growing up here in Germany, but I'm from the US, they have US citizenship. My whole family's in the US. We also have tons of friends who are like family in the UK, so English is very much so the preferred language between me and my children, and between them and many of their family members. So I didn't want a name that might work in one language but just totally not work in another. We had to find some sort of balance. And to be honest, it was difficult to find a name because of that. We're very, very fortunate and thankful that we have a name that we love for him, and it's actually a name that we more or less knew would be his name for a very long time, but just, it's just hard to really commit when you're not far enough along into your pregnancy. And I really wanted to get to know him, and I just really wanted little signs and signals to know that yes, this was really his name, and we've gotten all those things for him. So pretty confident that we have the name for him, and we're going to share the names that we're not using. The first name, one of the names that we had considered for our son is Matias. Matias is very much so a German name. I know lots of people here in Germany named Matias. It's not very well known in the US. The reason why this was on our list is because my great-grandfather, who moved with his whole family from Luxembourg to the US to start his life in the US, his name that we always heard it as was Matthias. But I always wonder if his name was really Matthias or was it Matias, because Matias is the European pronunciation. So it could very well be that his name was Americanized after moving to the US. I always felt a strong connection to him, I guess because, I don't know, maybe the Luxembourg connection, maybe the fact that I live here in Europe and just have a different understanding of his life, and yeah, I just felt a bit of a connection to him. So we really, really loved that name. The part that held me back was just, I know a lot of kids named Matias in Callum and Linnea's classes. I really do love that name. It just makes me feel like this really strong family connection, and it's really because of him that I have my Luxembourg citizenship. So it's really special. Another name number 2 that we liked was Nicholas. I really liked Nicholas, but I never really had. So here's the thing about me. I have to have like these real emotional connections to names. I have to have like some, I don't know, divine intervention that this is the name. And I love the name Nicholas, but I just didn't have that real pull or connection. I'm also a lot of people here named Nicholas go by Nicky, and I didn't really want that. I didn't want him like growing up as a Nicky. The next name, Dominic. I really liked Dominic. I heard this a lot in the UK and thought this is a really great name. I know a lot of men that go by Dom instead of Dominic. I really, really liked it, but Roman wasn't really a fan, so that's not the name of our son. Okay, this is one that Germans might giggle a little bit. This was always a name that I wanted to name my son, and then when I had Callum, this wasn't his name, and so it was on the list for this baby. And it's still not his name because, well, let me just share the name first. It's Johannes. Johannes. Yeah, I love the name Johannes. Love it, love it, love it. But when I've told people that name, or like when I've talked to people here in Germany about that name, they're like, that's a very old-fashioned name. Like it's a very old-fashioned name. And I didn't know, I don't know, it wasn't really like a good reaction. It was like, oh, it just, yeah, again, that was a name I loved. I still really love that name, but it just didn't feel right. It's just not his name. And the other thing too is I didn't want the Americans to call him Johannes. I don't like Johannes and I don't like Johannes. I really wanted the strong German Johannes. And I wasn't sure if that would be a problem for him. The next name that I really liked is Filipe. I love this name. Roman wasn't wild about it. Roman was like, no. Roman's reaction was like, why not Philip? And I liked Filipe because it was kind of more of the French way of saying it. And Roman was like, okay, no, this is just gonna be too complicated, so no. Okay, then these next two kind of go together as to why they're not the name. The first one is Gabriel, which I love the name Gabriel. I love the nickname Gabe. I thought, oh, that's really great. Here's the problem. In German, he would be called Gabriel, which, okay. But I like Gabriel more than I like Gabriel. So I felt like it would be a bit of a losing battle by constantly trying to say, no, it's not Gabriel, it's Gabriel. So I, again, love the name, but I just didn't really care for it as much in German as in English, and I figured that would be a bit of a problem. The next one, I love this name in English as well, and it's Sebastian. I love Sebastian. I love Sebastian. I love that. I love the French spelling of it. I am not wild about Sebastian, which is what it is in German. The other thing too is you hear a lot of kids with this name. They're called Basti a lot. And I've also heard the accent calling kids Basti. I'm not wild about those nicknames. And part of this is because I myself have a nickname. My full name is Catherine, but almost nobody calls me Catherine except for when I worked and I was in a professional setting and people would then call me Catherine, but almost nobody else does. And I just didn't want Basti to be his name throughout life. I liked Sebastian, I liked Sebastian, but I just didn't want Basti. And I felt like it would be, again, a bit of a losing battle growing up here in Germany, where that's very, very, very common. Okay, this next one hurt my heart a lot because I love this name so much. I love the name William. It's a strong name. It's a beautiful name. It's also the future heir to the British throne. So I kind of felt like it was a cool name to pay a bit of homage to our time in London. And I felt like it was a really cool name. I love the name Liam. I think Liam is a wonderful name. I'm a huge Oasis fan, so Liam Gallagher, that's like, I just love that name. So I really, really, really loved that name. But I could not name my child William because our last name is Wenger, W-E-N-G-E-R. And obviously William is spelled with a W, but it's the English W, W, versus the German W, V. So I didn't want William Wenger. The Wenger part kind of threw it out a bit. And I love this name so much. I was really crushed. And I thought, well, maybe I can get around that, but I just don't think I can. I'm too much of I love phonetics a bit too much, and the phonetics of that are difficult for me. So I had to let that one go, but I just love it. I just love it. Yeah, this one was also really difficult. It was between, well, this was actually the top two, between this one and the one that we chose. And this was really difficult. I love this name, and it is Alexander. I love the name Alexander. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I think it's just such a beautiful, strong name. But again, there are so many kids that I know named Alex or Alexander. And the other thing too, that this might be a bit silly. We live in Berlin, okay? We live in Berlin, and Berlin has Alexanderplatz. It has the Alex. It has so many references to Alex. And a part of me thought, well, it's kind of cool because he's born in Berlin and, you know, Alexander, and it's just, that's a cool thing. I started thinking, and well, Roman and I both started thinking, would this be something that kids would make fun of him for later on if we stay in Berlin? And we started thinking, you know, he'll always have Berlin on his birth certificate. I mean, he'll always be born in Berlin, just like Callum will always be born in Stuttgart Bad Cannstatt, which is like home of Mercedes-Benz, and Linnea will always have Stuttgart. She was literally born in the city center of Stuttgart. So like, they never lose that. That will always be a part of their identity, and their names don't have anything to do with where they're from, and yet they're okay. They both recognize that they're from Stuttgart, and they love it. I just didn't know if we needed to name him after Berlin, if that made sense. I felt like with the name that we chose, it made my heart feel better to name him after somebody in his life, and to give him a name that had a bit more of a spiritual meaning to us on a different level. So we let this name go, but we loved it, and it was definitely between this one and the name that we chose. And I have to say, I love all of these names. The reason why we didn't choose these names were really because of small little reasons. Any one of these names could have been his name, and that's why they're on this list. We loved them so much, but for whatever reason, it just didn't work for us. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this list of baby boy names and you enjoyed this video. I don't know if we're gonna share the name of our son until he's born. I don't know, maybe I'll share it earlier, maybe I'll have the kids share it, I don't know. Either way, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.